to come under the GST, but you went on to penalize them. Please understand. And I am okay, I am telling you, if the MSME sector doesn't pay taxes, I am happy. Because ultimately it has to go to the government, come back to them as a benefit. Instead of that, if they don't pay taxes and use it for their expansion, at least people get the employment opportunity. Second probability is that when they pay taxes, whether it will come down in the past 60 years, that tax was collected. After that, it was allocated. But we don't know where it went. It went to Switzerland. So, looking at all this problem, I think GST was too much of ambitious plan which the government has tried to not implement in an effective way. The idea is very good. Please understand. GST is a good and simple tax only. It was perceived as a Gabbar Singh tax because industry people and the politicians opposed it. Whenever people talk about it as a wrong tax, I am asking only one question to any government which opposes. Tell me the alternative strategy to rectify this problem. Nobody will talk about the solution. Everybody will talk about the problem. I don't want you people to be in that league. Please understand. When you are an educator, when you oppose something, you should give alternative strategy. And I'm very happy that Loyola Institute has done this research and they have given recommendation at the end. I think that's the mindset of the educated. And that is not happening at the ground level. We keep scolding the government for anything. If they good also we scold. If they do bad also we scold. Because we elect them only. Right? So that could not be the way, and GST, this is the ground reality. Let me come to the second industry. Second industry, cinema industry. There are honest taxpayers who pay in cinema industry, and cinema industry profile I'll tell you. Cinema industry is suffering because of the piracy. First I will tell their problem. Earlier the profitability of the cinema industry was very high. Gone are the days today. Cinema people are really suffering. If they are not able to make money within 3 or 4 days, it's already in the YouTube. And you know where the torrents website, which torrents website opens. Even if you are not able to download from India, you tell your friend to download from Malaysia and tell him to send by Google Drive. Or send it to CD. This is the profile of the cinema industry. They are really suffering in the recent time. Earlier they did not suffer. They made money. When they made money, they were reluctant to pay taxes. Now, to get the incentive to the cinema industry, first thing is that what was the problem of the cinema industry? If you look at the Tamil Nadu government, Mr. Honorable Chief Minister at that point of time, Mr. Karnanidhi, was so compassionate for the cinema industry and he offered some incentives. What he said was, I am sure in 2006, if I am not wrong, he said if you produce a Tamil in a movie and the Tamil movie is in the name of Tamil movie and it also provides the Tamil culture, then it is a U-rated, then no entertainment tax. And later, Honorable Chief Minister Selvi J. Jayalalitha, when she came, she continued with this policy. Because they were compassionate, they both were from cinema industry also. Please understand. And they were compassionate, they know the problem of the industry. And what happened when the GST came? All of a sudden, when Tamil Nadu in the cinema industry never paid the tax, when the GST came, it was a shock to the cinema industry that 28% tax is applicable, where entertainment tax was levied along with the gambling industry. It was compared to gambling industry. That was their more concern for them. And now, whether the tax of entertainment, whether the entertainment tax is levied in other states, yes, entertainment tax was levied in other states also. But here the incentive was given. Now, the problem that the cinema industry was referring to on the day of June 11, if I'm not wrong, when the rates were announced, was that the people will suffer. Now, one side, people will suffer because the higher rate of tax. On the other side, lot of cinema industry people are concerned because they will come under the formal channel. Because when the GST is levied in the theatre level, when you sell the ticket, when the GST is levied on them, what will happen is, automatically the producer, distributor, exhibitor, there are 3 people in the value chain. An exhibitor who gives the right to the, distributor who gives the right to the exhibitor will give it at a certain percentage, right? So all of them has to file the return. Automatically, everybody will come under the formal channel. There is one segment of people in the cinema industry who are very concerned about the people because it's increasing the ticket price. There's other segment of people who are concerned that their industry will become formal, which they don't want. Please understand. This was a confusion going on in the cinema industry. Then cinema industry went and represented, and with the due representation, without any agitation in the first phase, they got rectified from central government. The central government said, if the ticket price is less than 100, it is 18% tax. If it is more than 100 rupees ticket, it is 28% tax. What did Tamil Nadu government did? Immediately when the central government reduced the rates, Tamil Nadu government had an option called entertainment tax at local body level. Please understand. And for information, the present chief minister in Tamil Nadu, chief ministers are not from cinema industry. And they may understand, may not understand, I'm not sure, but they went on to levy 30% extra tax. Please understand. Central government and the Indian government is moving towards non-cascading effect, where they said if it is 100 rupees less than ticket, it is 18% tax. More than 100 rupees, it is 28%. But Tamil Nadu government said, no problem, that is different tax, this is different tax, I will levy entertainment tax of 30%, that is 100 rupees over the 30% over the GST. We will make it to 190. How is it right? Then after representing through cinema industry, then they took it out temporarily. Please understand. And really, cinema industry requires an incentive. Now, what is the solution available to cinema industry? The government of India should establish film commission and recognize them as a due industry, and also the piracy, the government of India through the Ministry of Information Broadcasting should help the cinema industry in ensuring that the piracy goes off through various mechanisms, and then provide incentive for the MSME producers in the cinema industry, and tax the rationalization has to happen later point of time. So the entire cinema industry today is undergoing a change because of GST. I hope you are able to get the gist of the concept for the cinema industry. The third important industry, I will conclude the session after that, is your transport industry. In June 18th, the Namakkal called me for a session. The Namakkal transport people were supposed to go for a strike. And they said, I asked them on the phone, why are you calling me for a session? No sir, please come, we want to technically know the GST. That's how they called me. June 18, before the launch of GST. When I went to Namakkal, morning time, I was going out from the room, and that transporter is saying, sir, we are planning for a strike after your session. So what is the objective? I will go and do a session. The press people will be there. I am the supporter of GST. I am a chartered accountant also, incidentally, by accident also. And they will call me. I will do the session and declare Sathya Kumar came, strike came. And it will be a national news, because a learned person coming and speaking about GST, after that we go for a strike, it is like I am vouching it. Right? Then I went to Namakkal, 3,000 people were present, transporters. I said, GST is not applicable to you, why are you going for strike? Then only they realized GST is not applicable to their industry. It is like this, house is burning, house is burning. You also felt your house is burning. And said, GST is not applicable to transport industry. Never a transport operator need to pay GST at all. They need to pay at all, because it is on a reverse charge mechanism, GST is applicable. Please understand, transport industry alone, this benefit was given by the government. Why? They know very well, if they impose GST on transporter, on July 1, vegetable will not be there at your home. Please understand. This was the intention of the government. The government went on to say, no problem, dear transporter, I am very compassionate about you. No problem, you render the services. For that, whoever is taking the support of you as a service from you, that person will pay the tax. I hope you got the point. He will pay on reverse charge and pay. What is the tax applicable? 5%. So, as a owner of the vehicle, when I give the vehicle for a rent, I am not concerned about the GST at all. But they had an illusion. On soap, GST is applicable. On paste, GST is applicable. On burpee also GST was applicable. On pizza also GST was applicable. On everything under the sun GST is applicable. That means my industry also GST is applicable. Let's go for a strike. That's become a fashion statement. Then when I explained them, they understood. And for information, today they want to go for a strike. Not opposing GST. They want forward charge. It's a point of research professor has to take up in Namakkal. They want a forward charge, because under the reverse, there are two concepts of under GST. If it is a reverse charge, you cannot take input tax credit. Because of that, when a lorry goes for the service and they pay service charges, on the GST is applicable, the GST becomes a cost. And they buy a tire on which 38% is applicable. That becomes a cost. So they are not able to take the input tax credit. Now they are understanding the benefit of GST and they are asking Sathya Kumar sir, please help us and talk to the Union Finance Minister and get us forward charge. That's what, sorry, they asked me in the month of July 24th. We had our Honorable Finance Minister Arun Jaitley coming to Chennai, addressing in our Chennai. On the day, the industry people, we submitted the representation saying that, sir, there are two segment of people. One segment of the transporter wants reverse charge to continue. Another segment of transporter wants forward charge, who can come under forward charge, pay the required tax and take the input tax credit. Then the Honorable Union Finance Minister understood the issue. Then he said, we will provide a choice. We will provide a choice. If I'm a transporter, today I have a choice, either to go for a forward charge or to go for a reverse charge. If I go for a forward charge, the rate of tax applicable is 12%. And input tax I can take on tire, on all the consumption, and then utilize against the output tax. And this, because of that, tax efficiency will come for the transport industry. But with respect to reverse charge, there are still some people who are using it, and this is the story of the transport industry. So my session today, I did not want to discuss section numbers. Please understand, section numbers are no way concerned to you people. As a students, you need to understand the crux of the issue. If you develop interest, you will automatically open the section number. Please understand. And don't try to understand anything complicated. It's all very simple. And Honorable Union Finance Minister came to Chennai on before the day of Pongal, or rather on the day of Pongal, in fact. And he threw some very interesting facts in CIA meeting. He said, out of the 100% taxpayers, total GST taxpayer, 4 lakh assessee. How many taxpayers are there in India under GST? On whom we are talking about? There are only 86 lakh people. Totally 86 lakh people only are there under GST. 86 lakh only. In that, 4 lakh people contribute 96% of GST revenue. Hardly 4 lakh people contribute 96% of the total revenue. Balance 4% of the revenue comes from 82 lakh people. Please understand. So we all talk about professional opportunity, GST transforming India. Not at this point of time. Not at this point of time. It is just a starting point. In the economic survey brought by the Chief Economic Advisor Arvind Subramaniam, he has clearly mentioned that the GST filers pay, that is tax return filers, have increased by 50%. He did not say revenue. Please understand. The return, people who are filing the return has increased, but that has not resulted in the increase in tax revenue under GST. Similarly, because of that, your income tax returns has increased. Why? When you register for GST, you give the PAN number. When somebody comes under the GST, you will automatically come under the income tax. So GST will not only increase the revenue of the GST, but also the income tax, because it's an integrated system now between indirect tax department and direct tax department under Department of Economic Affairs. I hope you are able to understand the nerve of the revenue generation of the government of India. And for information, 2 important items are presently not taxed under GST. 2 important items, very important items, especially for Tamil Nadu. One is alcohol. Yeah? And who is responsible for this? Tamil Nadu government only. And the Tamil Nadu government was very specific that the alcohol should be away from GST. I'll tell you the reason. If alcohol comes under GST, education in Tamil Nadu will get spoiled. Because Tamil Nadu government budget is going to come on 15th. Please look at which is the highest revenue. It is the sale of alcohol, for your information. Through alcohol, we fund the education in Tamil Nadu. This should not be the case. Please understand. This is that you go and analyze on 15th, the Tamil Nadu budget is going to come. Alcohol revenue is highest. Through that, we fund the education. Now, who is responsible for keeping the alcohol? Out of the constitution. Please understand. Petrol was notified under the constitution. It is yet to be notified under the GST. Alcohol is out of the constitution. Tomorrow, if I want to bring the alcohol under GST, then I have to amend the constitution. That is the importance of alcohol, which the Tamil Nadu government has tried to pursue. And the message is very simple. Now, the government of India strategically kept, the alcohol was kept because of the Tamil Nadu government, but the petroleum products is kept away by the government of India, yet to be notified, because 45% of the total indirect tax revenue to the central government comes from petroleum products. And for the state government, 55% of the revenue comes from petroleum product. Balance 45 only comes from GST. Please understand, still under the budget of the government, highest revenue generator is your excise duty, and for the state government it is VAT, because the petroleum products are not brought under the GST. But I am sure alcohol at some point of time will come under the GST, and the petroleum products will also be notified under the GST, provided the tax base increases, not in the current year, because elections are forthcoming. The problem in India is election. They want to appease the people, any government for that matter, so they keep on revising the GST. Number of amendments. Somebody was asking, I was explaining Sushma ma'am, that I have written a GST book. She is asking, sir, have you captured the latest changes? The changes happening every month. That's a kind of a dynamism that the GST is showing because of the changes expected by the people, and they have catered. In the November month, restaurant which was taxed at 12%, 18% and 18% has made flat rate of 5%, but they denied input tax credit. So these are some of the things we should understand. This 40 minutes or 30 minutes is not sufficient, or rather half-day session is also not sufficient. You have to do research of this kind. You have to do the research of this kind. I would request Dr. Major S. Ilangovan, who is the chief editor of this research paper, to pursue more and more research in the area of GST. Let Loyola College be the brain of the Ministry of Finance. It is possible. You send your students to Namakkal, you send your students to Tirupur, you send your students to Erode, make them go and interact and understand, collect data, and come out with the research papers. Through research paper only, you will recommend to the ministry. And your students should be the policy makers of the Ministry of Finance. It is possible today of the access of the digitization. And I request the Loyola College to set up a center of excellence for GST. Using this conference, and you have the industry connect, you have the student base, you have the faculties who are interested, open up a center of excellence for GST and research methodology, where you can represent the issues of the film industry, you can represent the issues of the hospitality industry, you can represent the issues of the jewelry industry. Definitely this can add value to the industry people. I'm sure in this way you can transform. And before I conclude, it is written in your research paper. I don't know who has written this research paper. Let me look at it. It was written by one of the college, Lady Dua College, right, from Madurai. At the end, she has written, the ruler should collect tax like a bee, which collects honey without causing harm to that plant. I repeat, the ruler, when I say ruler, it is the government, should collect tax like a bee, which collects honey without causing harm to that plant, was said by sage Veda Vyas. This is the message to the government, and I will actually rewrite the quote also. Just the way the bee is collecting honey, please the industry people also to allow the government to collect the tax in the way of the way honey is collected from the flower. That you be the flower who feed the bee. So this is the message I want to give here, because it is our responsibility. Government, industry and academia, it is all three's responsibility to develop our nation. Without salary, you cannot live. Without profit, business cannot sustain. Similarly, country without tax cannot develop. We need tax in this country. The person who is supposed to pay tax should pay tax, and because of that, the average tax will come down in the country. If you are really concerned about nation's development, you are concerned about you paying less tax, please show hands to the people who are not paying taxes. Through research. This is the message, and I'm sure Loyola College will take up this message very clearly and do some transformation in this GST space. Thank you so much.